For 6 months, I lived on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and this is the car that's named after it. Before it was a show car, the PBJ Lotus was just a stripped down shell. And honestly, so was I. Yeah, that crash didn't really happen. It was a green screen shot taken at SEMA. But it was a wild coincidence. That photo was taken by a vendor the same year, the same show that my car debuted. Around that time, my car came back to me damaged. Not destroyed, but just damaged. I could have easily fixed it and moved on, but you know me with cars. Yeah. So instead, I took the little damage and tore the whole car all the way down. This is the real story behind the PBJ. I was broke. The car was in pieces. It was mortgage or food, pick one. But let's back up a bit. Before I started this car, I was depressed. Nothing excited me anymore. But this project, it gave me a reason to wake up every morning. I told myself, SEMA is 6 months away. Let's get it done. I hadn't been in the scene for years, so I wasn't sure if anyone remembered me anymore. I'd made some calls, and it turned out some people actually still remembered the Bumblebee Celly. And they lit a fire under me. They knew of my car and they even remembered it in detail. So they jumped on board, so the 6-month countdown began. I needed to pull the motor, fully rebuild it, upgrade the transmission, fuel system, cooling system, ECU, tune it, new suspension, wheels, and oh yeah, a custom hand-built wide body. I still had my 9 to 5, still had paid my mortgage, still ate my PBJs. I slept in 20-minute increments. I had no time, no money, and no quit. Well, sort of. We'll get more into that later. The plan was to build this entire car myself. That was always the plan. But when it came to the internal work for the motor, I had a wall with sourcing some of the parts. So I called a friend's shop to help move things forward. Then I ended up dropping the motor off to them to help keep this timeline alive. When the motor was done, I was super excited to get it back in the car. And that's when the troubles began. Crank, 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 no start. I couldn't figure out why. I swapped the OEM parts back in, put the OEM ECU back in, car fired up. But with the turbo and the aftermarket ECU, it just cranked and it wouldn't turn over. I got help from friends, professionals, friends of friends from out of state. Nothing, we couldn't figure it out. I was ready to call it quits. Time was running out. I still had the rest of the car to finish and I was spending way too much time trying to diagnose this motor. I still had no team, no physical help. I felt like I was way over my head trying to finish this car. It looked impossible at the time. I was letting everyone down. The stress became real. I took a Hail Mary and took the entire car back to my friend's shop. And it turns out that one of the cams was defective and was missing a tooth. The OEM ECU ignored it and allowed the car to start. The aftermarket ECU, well, it tried to keep me safe from blowing up my car, so it didn't allow me to start it. It's cost me a few weeks of time and I was very short on time to begin with. But we got it fixed and the car finally roared to life. Shout out to C&H Nguyen in Sacramento for making this a priority when I needed it the most. It was such a huge relief. But that moment didn't tell the whole story. What people see after was the paint, the wheels, the Instagram pictures, but nobody saw the fiberglass seasoned PBJs I was eating, sleeping in the garage, sanding until my hands locked up. My neighbors bringing me food every time they hosted a party, they were the real ones. The depression, the doubt, this was never gonna run. I thought I let down my sponsors and I knew I was letting myself down. I almost believed it. Almost. But I pushed through. And this is why the PBJ Lotus matters. It's not just a show car, it's a receipt. Every scratch, every carbon weave, it costs something. It's proof that survival mode can still build something unforgettable. It's grit and beauty, speed and style. I didn't build this for the likes. I built this because I had to. I made sacrifices to build this car, but not on this car. I built it my way, for me. When it was time for SEMA, everything was starting to come together. The body was done, painted, wheels on, tuned. It looked better than I could ever imagine. When I arrived at SEMA, I was running on fumes. Little to no sleep for months, but I made it. My spot at Toyo Tire's tread pass. It was perfect. This week went by and it felt like a dream. Not just SEMA, but a decade long of struggle that finally released. Messages poured in, old friends, people who I haven't talked to for years. They were all telling me how proud they are of me. An old friend of mine that's not even in the car industry messaged me and said, "Hey, you're in Business Insider, top 44 cars at SEMA." It was already such an honor being at SEMA. The Business Insider feature felt unbelievable.
Before I can let any of that sink in, the week was already over and it was already time to move the car.
Anyone who's heard of SEMA knows about the SEMA parade. It's a huge gathering at the end of the event to watch all the cars pull out. You can see all the cars that you may have missed during the event or hear the ones that you wanted to see in action. The Tread Pass booth was set up between the two main buildings with a huge display. Toyo informed me that I needed to be out on the dot when the event ended. So when the time came, I took the car and immediately left for the SEMA parade. I was one of the first cars there, and the organizers needed a few more minutes to get it ready. Remember when I said the car was tuned? It wasn't exactly tuned for daily driving yet. The car was running a bit rich, so idling caused the fuel to flood the engine. It stalled in front of everyone. I was hoping it was no big deal, I could start it back up and get it back on its way. But the car had other plans. It didn't start. Crank, crank, nothing. Thousands of people watching. Crank, crank, still nothing. The SEMA camera crew started filming. They were coming by. I cranked it a few more times and still nothing. The line was starting to move. I'm holding up the entire show now from getting out. This is the only exit. I was dying inside. I wanted to shrink into oblivion. The camera crew there was filming this horror. And finally, the car roars back to life. The crowd erupts. Yeah! People throwing their fists up in the air. I gave the car a few revs and the crowd got even louder. And it turns out SEMA ended up using this moment to start the video for next year's event. The clip played all week on every screen throughout SEMA. It went from being my most embarrassing moment to one of the most unforgettable. I'm pretty sure the car knew exactly what it was doing at the time.
That moment summed up the whole build beautifully. Nothing went as planned, but everything happened for a reason.
If you're broke, tired, and doubting yourself, I've been there too. Your build doesn't have to start with money, but it has to start with your why. So what's something that you finished even though it almost broke you? Leave your comments below. In the next episode, I'll show you how this build ended up inspiring complete strangers and how those moments impacted me even more. This is Tuner Playbook, a guide for dreamers to build something extraordinary. Let's go get it.